The global landscape entering the week of July 19th, 2026 feels intensely erratic. There is a baseline anxiety humming, a sudden, uncoordinated turbulence. From an esoteric perspective, collective turbulence follows a cyclical framework. The perceived noise of societal shift corresponds to a measurable, recurring geometry. This specific week acts as a highly active nodal point in these overarching patterns. The alignments forming now offer a critical window to observe these macro forces in real time. Mapping these patterns provides a method for identifying the drivers of human systems, offering an alternative to the reactive fear of the daily news cycle. This is a different exercise than reading a daily personal horoscope. We are not analyzing individual emotional trends, but rather the collective organism of humanity. To do that, we map the geometric angles locking into place above us, using the 12 macro houses of collective experience to read global weather. These specific angular relationships correlate with shifting institutional power, economic standoffs, and broad changes in mass psychology. Think of this framework as a geometry of meaning, a blueprint that allows us to track the subtle structural currents flowing beneath global headlines. Mapping this geometry reveals that sweeping global shifts reflect structural adjustments required by the larger system. This week, several planetary bodies form 90-degree alignments, known as squares. These act as celestial pressure cookers, trapping energy in a tight, unyielding corner. This tension maps to the macro-level resistance unfolding, manifesting as stalled international treaties, gridlocked institutions, and economic standoffs. Simultaneously, 180-degree oppositions pull across the chart. These alignments represent global power struggles and polarized social forces holding each other in check. This level of polarity forces a breaking point in collective sentiment, demanding a resolution to resolve the stagnation. These points of intense friction operate as systemic stress tests, identifying weak points in global architecture through sustained pressure. Wherever we witness maximum friction in the news this week, we are watching the physical release of this pent-up geometric tension. While the squares and oppositions generate resistance, other planetary bodies are converging at the exact same degree this week. This is a conjunction, a powerful fusion of archetypes that plants new seeds in the collective consciousness. Globally, this merger manifests as sudden shifts in cultural preference or the arrival of new technical systems. These conjunctions are inherently unifying, but that shared sentiment can trigger rapid, unpredictable mass social movements. These explosive, unified movements move quickly, contrasting with the slow, grinding gridlock created by the squares. These points of convergence signal the birth of new institutional logic, forming as the older systems break under pressure. To understand the impact of this weather, we must contextualize these fast-moving alignments within a much larger time frame. We look to the cosmic egg cycle, the slow-moving generational hand of historical and human evolution. This week's squares and conjunctions are the minute hand, ticking forward to trigger the larger mechanisms of that generational cycle. A minor geopolitical tension this week acts as a direct catalyst for the decade-defining shifts already in motion. Short-term political chaos remains subservient to this long-term generational evolution, which provides a grounding sense of scale. When the friction of the squares, the fusion of the conjunctions, and the scale of the cycle resolve together, they form a cohesive map of the week's archetypal weather. It is essential to note that the planets do not force governments to act, nor do they deterministically cause specific physical events. This system highlights the archetypal currents flowing beneath the surface, identifying the paths of least and most resistance. As you observe the news this week, look for the structural tensions beneath the events. Focus on the pressures driving the decisions, rather than the sensationalism of the headlines. Applying this geometric lens turns a chaotic daily news cycle into a legible system of shifting collective values. Navigating massive macroeconomic and societal shifts without a structural framework carries a significant psychological toll. Collective friction is a mechanical phase of societal evolution, a sign of adjustment rather than collapse. Using this symbolic map allows you to track cultural conversations and institutional changes as a grounded observer. The goal of the esoteric observer is to stand still within the rushing currents of history, fully aware of the forces at play. Recognizing this celestial mechanism allows us to walk through global uncertainty with sovereign awareness, free from collective reactive fear.